Hey guys, I'm Grestar, and how about we watch a death battle, Carnage vs. Lucy. Of course, make sure to click on the link in the description below to go to the official release first. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Watch that there, and then come back here and we'll watch it together. So yes, it's Carnage from Marvel versus Lucy from Elfen Lied. And I wanted to specify that because I now know how to pronounce at least the second word. I assume Elfen's correct. But people in the comments told me that I said lied last time. But it's apparently German. I didn't realize it was German. But what I thought was kind of amusing too is a few people, when they were trying to correct my pronunciation, they said it was pronounced like the word L-E-A-D, which could be either lead or lead. So next time say like it rhymes with deed or something. Anyway, and just really quickly, something I wanted to point out is, well, someone in the comments told me that the content of the anime Elfen Lied is very graphic and very gory. They're like, yeah, remember Berserk? Well, it's a lot worse than that. Berserk was pretty bad. So I'm not planning on censoring anything within this video or the reaction as a whole. But this is just to say, if you're sensitive to that kind of material, maybe keep that in mind, and maybe this isn't the best death battle for you to watch. Of course, you're free to do what you want. I can't stop you, but just so you're aware that that kind of content will probably be in this death battle. There you go. As for the two characters, yeah, you know, Carnage I don't know too much about, but I at least know a little bit more than I do about Lucy. Lucy, I know absolutely nothing. I know nothing about Lucy. Carnage, from what I recall, is he was the serial killer that was then introduced to the symbiote. You know, much like Venom symbiote, but Carnage symbiote. I think there's like a whole family of those symbiotes kind of thing. And so he was already like a really bad, messed up dude who was at least capable of killing multiple people. But now he has like superpowers. I don't think he ever became a hero. Like, I think Venom could be considered an anti-hero, right? To my knowledge, I think Carnage is always a villain. So I figure that's gotta be pretty messed up stuff. Like, I always wondered, when I was a little kid, you know, watching like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, what it would be like for a Venom movie, or worse yet, a Carnage movie. But now I feel like I have to specify, like, that was done correctly. I haven't seen the Venom movie. I don't think it's out yet, is it? But I'm just saying, in case it's bad, because I don't know. There we go. It's just the characters and the designs, like, there's so much creepy potential. Also, you know, I try not to jump to conclusions. I try not to, like, predict things ahead of time. And again, I know nothing about Lucy, but just so we're both on the same page, or all on the same page, I suppose, like, I feel like Carnage is going to win. Again, I know nothing about Lucy, so I know that's entirely unfair for me to say, but just because it's Carnage, I just assume that he's going to win, and I hate that, because you know what that means? That means that it's going, like, my brain is going to try to constantly to justify why Carnage is going to win, instead of trying to actually determine who's going to be the winner. And then I might mess myself up too, because I might actually have a good argument for, like, Lucy, but then my brain will be like, wait, what if you're wrong, because you're trying to overcompensate in order to not make Carnage seem like he's going to be the winner, you know? So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's where my brain currently is, and it might not work out this time. I might get 4 wrong in a row. We'll see. But with that, let's get to watching. And play.
Hey everybody, we have a brand new Death Battle t-shirt on the ScrewAttack/Rooster Teeth store. Head to store.roosterteeth.com.
It's like really cartoony and still kind of Suicide Squad-y, but less so. More just cartoony. Anyway, yes, time for a death battle. It's Carnage versus Lucy, and go whenever you're ready.
If my ex-wives have taught me anything, it's that there's no real limit to crazy.
Like Carnage, Marvel's dangerously insane psychopath.
That's right.
Or Lucy, the messed up murder lady from Elfen Lied.
Yeah.
Lead. It's German.
Yeah,
Lead.
whatever.
Haha.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job
They point
to
that out right
analyze
at the
their
beginning,
weapons,
that's smart.
armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
That was interesting animation right there.
Cletus Cassidy didn't have the chance to be a well-adjusted adult.
No?
Because his entire family was already crazy. While
Oh.
Cletus was just a boy, his father got sent to jail for killing his mother.
Which
Yeah.
he did because she had tried to kill Cletus.
Which she did because Cletus had tortured and killed her dog Fifi.
Well, go Miss Cassidy. All dog murderers deserve death, even if they're 8. Right, Jack Spaniels? Good boy. Oh,
Well, that's
and
really
Cletus
dark, yeah.
murdered his grandma too, because she's kind of a bitch.
He didn't stop there and wound up burning down his own orphanage. Years later, he was finally arrested and convicted for 11 murders.
You mean the 11 murders they knew about?
But while in prison,
Yeah, that's fair.
Cletus found that he wasn't alone. In fact, his cellmate just so happened to be Eddie Brock.
Oh
All I
no.
know is that creepy guy covered in black ink called Venom.
That ink is actually a symbiotic alien known as a Clintar. This symbiote
Oh, I didn't know I had a
bonded
name
with
like
Eddie,
that.
transforming him into a powerful and violent rival for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
But what Eddie didn't know was it was pregnant.
What? I didn't know
Time to
that.
go out for cigarettes, Eddie.
Well, symbiotes actually reproduce asexually. When Eddie became Venom once again, the symbiote sort of oozed out its spawn and left it there.
Just
Uh-huh.
like me and my dad. Well,
Was that not
this
on
new
purpose
symbiote
then?
immediately attached itself to Cletus, but unlike the Venom one, it merged through a cut on his skin, creating this suit made out of blood.
Oh, that's
Ew.
why it's
That
all
doesn't seem
red.
sanitary.
I didn't know
And together,
that.
they became Carnage.
A fitting name for a psycho mass murderer. Cletus and his new symbiote quickly got up to what they knew best, creating maximum carnage. Remember that game?
No.
And with his
Oh.
new superpowers, he was a vicious force to be reckoned with. He has the same superhuman strength, speed, and durability as Venom, and supposedly even greater, like a Venom 2.0.
Oh,
He can
wow,
shapeshift
yeah.
to make all sorts of killer weapons, like axes, swords, and spikes. He can even rip those weapons off himself or launch them at his victims. Have you ever tried ripping your fingers off and throwing them at people?
No.
'Cause that's just kind of what Carnage does.
I've never tried
the
that.
symbiote can also reach out with dozens of chaotic, blood-soaked tendrils, perfect for strangling the people he doesn't want to see anymore. With a single touch, Carnage can infect a person with a portion of his symbiote, controlling or torturing them at his leisure.
Oh.
He has unbelievable regeneration, and even if somebody finds a way to disable his suit, the Carnage symbiote lives inside his bloodstream and can come back out through something as meager as a paper cut.
Also, the symbiote literally sees everything around it. It's kind of like wearing a suit made of eyeballs.
But
Okay.
let's say you're able to dodge his projectiles, outrun the tendrils, and get out of sight from the eyeball suit. You're still not safe. He will catch you because he can sprout wings and fly.
What the hell? Since when?
Okay.
Since realizing that shapeshifting is a really, really useful ability.
So he's able to fly, he's totally aware of everything around him, and he's
Wow,
full of
that's in his
blood.
head.
This guy's like a giant mosquito of death.
Sure. Carnage has said he's at least 10 times faster than the average man. But that's pretty modest because Venom has shown he can move fast enough to catch up to a bullet after it's fired. And Carnage is frequently shown to be as fast or even faster than him. This puts Carnage over 1,500 miles per hour, over twice the speed of sound.
Okay.
He's lifted a 50-ton tank, and he can overpower Spider-Man, whose best supported strength feat was lifting that giant machine thing that weighed as much as a 1965 locomotive.
Which would put it around 130 tons.
Okay.
You know those weird
I'm already
tendril
getting
things
lost.
crawling around his body? When
Yes.
he wanted to find a missing journalist in New York, he climbed to the top of the Empire State Building and just stretched them all out over the city.
He found her by this coastline, and this building nearby looks a lot like the consolidated Edison plant between 14th and 15th Street.
Sure.
That's about 2 miles away.
And as a thank you for saving her, she shot Carnage in the head. Well, fine. Save your own ass next time, lady.
He was fine. Carnage's durability doesn't come from a sturdy build. Instead, his form is malleable and somewhat fluid. Technically, his human body still exists somewhere in that massive blood, flesh,
Somehow?
and tentacles, but even when he's hit by a train, struck by missiles, or blasted apart by a tritium bomb, he can always just pull himself back together.
Wow.
So long
Okay.
as there's a piece of him still around. Given the size of that blast, it looks like Carnage survived a blast worth 125 tons of TNT.
Okay.
Very impressive. Also, he once smothered and survived a gene bomb designed to wipe out all of humanity except mutants.
He's even survived being ripped in half and thrown into space. Seriously, what kills this guy?
Well, he does share the same weaknesses as other symbiotes, namely extremely loud noises and heat.
Well,
Okay.
until he traded the sound one for a weakness against some Cthulhu-looking magic.
Carnage has been through a lot, but with two minds as one, he always gets back up to keep doing what he loves.
Murder, murder, and, you know, more murder.
Lots of murder.
Carnage is
Carnage is chaos, everybody. You heard it here. Now
There are
for
some
Lucy.
mysteries the world holds which no one is meant to know. Every day, something, somewhere, comes ever closer to destroying everything you hold dear. One such secret is the Dicloni.
No big deal.
Oh.
They're just a race of crazy people who want to infect human beings to make more Dicloni and then wipe out all of humanity. Oh, look at the cute little horns. They look like kitty ears.
To accomplish this, the Dicloni would have to rely on their queen, Carnage, better known as Lucy.
Luckily for
Okay.
everyone, some important people figured this out and captured her. And now it's time for your only warning.
Right, Lucy's methods, let's just say they're not for the faint of heart.
And let's also say that those lucky important people were about to get very, very unlucky.
Okay, I just don't know how she's doing anything she's doing yet.
Jesus Christ!
That's what I'm waiting
what's
for.
happening?
Like, you can
To truly
blast someone in
understand,
half,
let's
but
take
how?
a step back.
Yes, thank
As
you.
an infant, Lucy was abandoned by her parents and left alone to suffer a life of constant discrimination.
It was the horns, wasn't it?
Right, even the average kid hates growing up in an orphanage, but it was especially painful for her.
Until she found a stray puppy and decided to take care of it. That adorable little
Uh-oh.
critter and her became best friends.
Is something
And
gonna
then
happen to
other
the dog?
kids from the orphanage went out and beat it to death and
Oh.
forced her to watch.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
no shit, she wants to kill everyone.
Yeah, that's a
Go
dark-
ahead, Lucy. Tear
That's a
up
lot
this
darker to
little
me than all the cutting in half before that.
Whoa! Damn!
This was the first time Lucy unleashed her psychokinetic vectors. As a
Wow.
Diclonius queen, Lucy is
What was
meant
that?
to use these vectors to infect ordinary human beings with the Diclonius virus.
Oh, but she uses them for so much more.
For simplicity's sake, think of the vectors as invisible arms which can sprout from Lucy's back.
Okay.
Lucy can use up to 28 vectors with a normal range of about 6 to 7 feet. When she gets really serious, her horns grow and the vectors get way longer and stronger.
She can vibrate her vectors at different frequencies, and each level of vibration has different effects.
Kinda like that thing that my ex-wife had on the nightstand that I thought was one of those crazy pens.
At low frequencies, her vectors can pass through objects with no effect.
Okay.
At a medium frequency, the vectors become solid, like extendable hands, while still completely invisible. These can be used as shields and lift heavy objects.
Oh man, if I had those things, I'd be messing with people all the time, like tying their shoes from across the room. Also, since this seems to be a thing in this episode, she can fly.
It's not really
Sure.
flying, she's just lifting herself off the ground. With the third frequency, Lucy turns her vectors into invisible blades. These can cut through people and bend metal.
And with the last and highest frequency, Lucy gets explosive. No, really, at this level, they finally become visible and can strike with enough force to detonate. Damn, they don't call this chick the queen for nothing.
Unfortunately, Lucy is not always in control of what she does. Turns out she has developed several alternate personalities.
Yeah, getting
I'm
shot
not
in the head can
surprised.
do that to you.
That injury specifically created New, a passive, almost childlike persona which exists as a coping mechanism for Lucy's trauma. As New, Lucy would finally find friends and began forging a path toward hopeless redemption.
Unlike her third personality, the so-called DNA voice, which constantly whispers in her ear that she's got a job to do. Kill them all, Lucy, before they hurt more puppies. Ooh, I'm spooky DNA.
Good work,
She
Boomstick.
could do it too. Lucy's fast enough to block bullets from a point-blank range. And once, she actually saved herself from a bullet after she had already been shot. As in, while the bullet was traveling between her skin and her heart.
It looks like she's getting shot by
Oh.
an MP5, which fires bullets at nearly 900 miles per hour.
With her body type, the distance between Lucy's skin and heart is less than an inch, probably around 2.4 centimeters. Given the bullet speed and the distance her vector would have to reach from her back before the bullet hit her heart, her vector had to move nearly 1,900 miles per hour. That's over twice the speed of sound.
She can throw a pen through a guy's skull. Brutal. And even tossed this giant boulder.
When compared to this guy, Bando, whom we know is 6 feet tall, we can determine the boulder weighs about 75 tons. Her vectors are also tough enough to block a missile from the Air Force. While the exact model of missile is unspecified, it is fairly large and likely an air-to-surface type.
I bet it's one of the Air Force's SLAMs, or Standoff Land Attack Missile, built
Okay.
off the back of the Navy's Harpoon missile. In fact, a harpoon is used against a different Diclonius at one point. So this beast slammed into her vector at 500 miles per hour with a 1,000-pound explosive yield, and it didn't even phase her. Even without a vector shield, she survived a pretty nasty explosion herself, though it did knock her out.
Impressive, but how about the time she punched through an island? A strike literally compared to nuclear fusion. This kicked up a 100-foot tidal wave and a 9.2 magnitude earthquake. A level so high, there's only been 4 comparable quakes
How
ever
did she really
recorded.
punch it?
Her vectors can be as wide as buildings and reach into outer space. Except
Wow.
that's about when Lucy reaches her limit.
Right. As a Diclonius, Lucy has a few severe weaknesses.
I thought it said
Her
it only
vectors
could
can
reach
be
like
nullified
7
if she's
feet
struck
before.
in the forehead, or if one of her horns are broken.
Also, if Lucy pushes herself too hard, she starts to melt. Kinda like ice cream out in the Texas sun. It's not pretty. She's just a big puddle of goop with a face.
What?
But she's still a total
How does she
badass,
get back up
even
then?
at her meltiest.
While suffering agonizing pain,
It's just
she was capable of
regeneration?
single-handedly halting a massive military threat, while healing and protecting the person she loved most. Perhaps redemption wasn't so hopeless after all.
Hey, let's watch her kill some more people.
Just trying to think. I don't know what her durability.
All right,
How
the
does she
combatants are
heal?
set.
How does
Let's
she
end
heal
this
though?
debate once and
I
for
don't
all.
know.
But first, you'd be crazy
All right,
not
we're
to
gonna
get in
skip
on
this
deal.
commercial. So yeah, it's time for a death battle and pause. All right, prediction time. I think that Carnage is going to win. I think that Lucy is pretty much superior. But I don't know how Lucy could kill Carnage. When they talk about how Carnage can survive like as long as some part of him exists, which I have to imagine is down like to the molecular level kind of thing, I don't see anything that Lucy has done that would do that. I don't see anything that she's done that would be able to actually like kill him. And that's the thing, it's like, it seems like she is a lot more capable physically as far as, like, attacking people, killing people, you know, like, maybe she doesn't have the same versatility, but her vectors just seem ridiculously powerful and everything, both as, you know, like, an offense and as a defense. But I just wasn't able to find anything in there that could actually, like, kill Carnage. You know? I don't know. Whereas for her durability seems really weird because it's like, yeah, it showed that she did have like limbs cut off and everything. She melted, apparently. I don't know what that means or how you fix that, but apparently she melted. And you know, and sure, she caught like the bullet right before it hit her heart. Like, she's very fast and very strong and everything, but if her head got cut off, would she be dead? Because if the answer is yes, then I think that Carnage would win. And that's all that I'm able to come up with right now, really, is yeah, it seems to me like, I don't even want to say necessarily she's faster, because I thought that they said that Carnage was like 2 times the speed of light, and I thought that the feat they showed for her was like 2 times the speed of sound. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like they put him as being faster. And I also thought they put him as being physically stronger too, because she lifted a boulder, but didn't he lift like the equivalent of a locomotive or something like that? And in my mind, locomotive was heavier. But just as far as like deadly capability, you know, or able, you know, being able to kill people, it seemed like she had the upper hand, but not against Carnage himself. That's where things are tricky. Like the fact that he is as malleable as he is, and that he can regenerate from seemingly nothing, and it seems like instantly, pretty much, you know? It seems like that is enough of an upper hand, something that, you know, she is not used to fighting or whatever, that he could recover from. Like, if he was able to be torn in half and thrown into space and still survived, and, you know, I feel like with that, the fact that they both survived explosions and everything, yeah. And then if we're looking at his weakness, it was heat and sound. And it didn't seem like, okay, like, her closest thing to that, I believe, would be the vectors being able to explode, basically. But again, he survived explosions, and I don't know if that meant he survived, but, like, barely, because it said that when she survived an explosion, she was knocked out. Like, I don't know about that. But most stuff, or at least the most important things, from how I was able to interpret it, it seemed like it was in Carnage's favor. So I'm really hoping that Carnage will win this one, because I'm going to announce right now that Carnage is going to win. So, play. You see, I'm not used to that style at all. Who drew this? Who drew that part? That's what I want to know. Look, it's him. Cause like her animations there were just cute.
Die.
Up! KO! I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. And he's got a challenge though. Let me tell you. I want to see Carnage infect her too, you know? I want to see that happen. Because he's hit her. Oh, well, I guess he hasn't hit her. But once he hits her. Did he just use his face as a shield? I actually do really like this animation so far. There's a certain charm to it. Also, he's just hit her. He could infect her at any point now, right? If I'm understanding correctly.
It's raining, you're bleeding. Carnage is starving.
It gets all spoopy there, guys.
Get back.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Does it hurt yet? Don't worry. I'll put you out of your misery.
No, Carnage, no! You gotta kill her! Carnage, no!
KO! First, those kids at the orphanage.
What is life?
Lead us. Lucy really hates dog killers, and for good reason.
Carnage was a challenging opponent. It was incredibly difficult for Lucy to deal any lasting damage against him.
He had the durability advantage in the bag, though Lucy fighting as a puddle proved she could take a lot of pain and keep on fighting. Sadly, Carnage came up short in pretty much everything else.
Right, Carnage was tough, but not invincible. Even his surviving that gene bomb isn't quite as impressive as it sounds, since he had no other feats to even remotely back up planetary level durability, and the bomb was more akin to a biological weapon anyway. While Carnage's tendrils could pass speeds of Mach 2, Lucy's vectors once reached into outer space. By timing her accompanying monologue and comparing the longest vector's length to the curvature of the Earth, it's clear she reached over 2,400 miles in 20 seconds max.
Well, there you go.
Way
What?
longer
Wow.
than Carnage's 2-mile feet.
All this means her vectors were moving at least 440,000 miles per hour, more than 500 times the speed of sound and 250 times faster than Carnage.
Good luck
Well, isn't
getting
that-
past
that's
that.
really cool.
And this was really the biggest hurdle. With Lucy's redonkulous speed and Carnage's healing powers, it all boiled down to one thing. Who could hit the killing blow first? I mean, Carnage could respawn from scraps, so the only way to beat him for good was to totally vaporize him.
And Lucy had the perfect answer to that. Remember
Ah.
the time she hit an island so hard she caused a 9.2 magnitude earthquake? And
Kind of.
100
You're a little
foot tall
vague
tidal wave?
about it.
Such a feat would require an enormous amount of explosive energy, approximately 31,000 tons of TNT, similar to the bomb that hit Hiroshima.
It's literally compared to nuclear fusion in the Elfen Lied manga.
Elfenlied, it's German.
The point is, in order to beat Carnage for good, Lucy needed to totally obliterate him, and she could do that.
The heat produced within the initial impact of a nuclear explosion can reach temperatures up to 180,000 degrees Fahrenheit, more than 18 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And to top it off, heat was Carnage's biggest weakness. Even if Lucy's explosive force was just a fraction of this, it would still have been far too much for him.
She just needed to smack him before he could power through her vectors, which chances were pretty slim for that happening anyway because there's a bunch of them and they're so damn fast. Hitting Carnage with a big explosion punch was way easier.
Cletus and his symbiote may have had the endurance, but Lucy's space-worthy speed, overwhelming presence, and nuclear strength won the day.
She dealt the carnage needed for a total victory and
Okay.
took the lead. There, I said it right, Wiz. Happy?
The winner is Lucy.
Claps for Lucy.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the fight, you can get a first membership and watch our commentary by clicking that box over there.
Thank you,
You're not Chad.
And if you want the battle music from this episode, you can get it in the link in the description below. You're not Chad.
Yeah, that's right. Next time, by the way, we have Optimus Prime versus Gundam. Gundam. I knew that was Gundam. I didn't know that was Gundam. All right. Well, to talk about this battle, I was wrong, everybody. I know that never happens, but I was wrong because I couldn't think of a way for Lucy to kill him, and apparently there was a really easy way for Lucy to kill him. So that's fun. In my defense, I do think that they were vague on the island blowing up feat. I think they were really vague on the whole, like, her being a puddle and healing herself. Did I miss stuff? Was there a bunch of sidebar stuff that actually explained that I missed? Or was there even, like, little text box stuff, which I think is a little cheaty? I appreciate the fact that they put that up there when there is extra information. But if it's going to be that important information, maybe actually say it. I don't know. But apparently I missed all the key details again, and was wrong again. And, you know, I'm not upset about repeatedly being wrong because I think that I've been slighted. It just makes me feel dumb. You know, like I feel bad when I get it right, and then I'm happy because, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm cocky or arrogant or anything, you know, but like when I get it right and when I'm able to point out like, yes, I'm glad that I was able to think about this and think about it in this application and take these steps, you know, it just feels good. But then to be wrong 4 times in a row really sucks. Like I was pretty confident about this one, you know, like the fact that the reason that I wasn't confident was just because I'd gotten it wrong so many times recently. But I could not think of anything, you know. It seemed to me like Carnage had more versatility with all the shape-shifting and everything. It seemed to me like okay, it was arguable in my mind whether he was faster because I couldn't remember if I was thinking of feats quite right. But then for Lucy's speed, they didn't even use the same speed feat that they used in her analysis. They're just like, oh yeah, remember that one time where we said that her vectors went into space? Even though I could have sworn they said that like most of the time her vectors could only go 7 feet, except for this. But even then, during this case, it wasn't like that far. Like, yeah, they said that her vectors reached into space. I get it, that's cool, I'm down with that. Did they say how fast it took her vectors to go into space? Because if you're going to use that as the speed feat, and then not mention it all the time, because for those of you who don't know, speed equals distance divided by time. If I don't know how long it took to reach that distance, I can't know how fast she's going, or how fast she's capable of going. So, again, maybe I missed it, and if that's the case, that's fine. But I don't remember them saying anything about how quickly her vectors were able to go into space. So instead, in my mind, that was just a matter of how far they could reach, which is fine. It's fine if her vectors are the size of a building. That's fine. But, you know, if I don't understand the way that she could actually finish Carnage off, if I don't understand what makes her as fast as she apparently is, there's just, what way could I get it aside from guessing or like, you know, actually having a solid way, but being wrong about that way, because again, I feel like the feats that they used in the end, okay, the speed one, they used the island one in the analyses, or in her analysis portion specifically, so that's fine, but the speed one, they didn't use that as a speed one in her analysis, did they? Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm just stupid. Anyway, but let's shift gears a little bit, let's go into a more positive route. So, I did really like the animation, actually. I thought this fight was really cool. You know, at first I was a little skeptical based upon the initial drawing, the initial animations. because it's a lot better than what I could do, and it does look nice, but it was cutesy, and it had a certain style to it that didn't really it didn't seem appropriate necessarily for this kind of thing, you know? I mean, and I don't mean this in like a negative way, and I feel like it's gonna come across that way, but I don't mean it like that. But like, if you're looking at, you know, on YouTube at not necessarily beginner animations, but like that's just what it made me think of, you know? Like the kind of cutesy style to it just made me go there instead of, I don't know, something more refined, I guess. But again, I don't mean that in anything negative. I thought it was lovely animation, you know. Whoever did that, like, you're really talented. I hope you keep going because that's awesome. I'm jealous of your skills, quite frankly. I also don't have the patience to work myself up to those skills, but that's another thing that I just kind of loathe about myself. But anyway, sorry, positive, right, shifting gears, positive. The animation I thought was really cool. Not only did it end up looking good together with, you know, the different kind of visual switches, as in, like, between kind of sprites to that animation and everything, but it looked really good. I did appreciate the story because even though they didn't really say anything at the beginning of the fight, there was a story to it, you know? Like, she's there at the subway, and then, you know, there's all this murder, and then a door's open, then it's carnage. Like, for some characters, that is all you need, you know? Sometimes it doesn't work for me when you have two characters just walk up and then they fight. But this one, it did work for me. I mean, and if they actually did just walk up and then fight, that wouldn't have been a story. But this worked for me. I liked the lines of dialogue that went back and forth between Carnage and Lucy throughout the fight. I thought that they were really creative in how they demonstrated their different abilities. Carnage, again, in particular, just because I felt he had more to work with. Again, he had more versatility, whereas Lucy just had her invisible arms, basically, that are apparently super capable of everything in the world. But I just thought it was really well done. I enjoyed the pacing of the battle. I thought that there were, you know, just a lot of good moments for each of the characters. And I am glad that we, you know, even if it was maybe a bit of a stretch, I am glad we got to see sort of her using the vibrations on him, like when he climbed up the vectors, before using the explosion. You know, it seemed like there was a bit of a build-up where in that moment she kind of learned. I mean, if you look at this battle, you could think of a lot of those moments as where she had learned from her mistakes or whatever, where, you know, initially she just, like, cuts him apart. But then she sees he instantly gets back together, and then she, like, dices him more finally, but then he just gets back together again. So she kind of has to figure out a different way to finish Carnage off for good. So it was kind of nice to see that sort of development in the fight itself, where you can think from Lucy's perspective, she's actually kind of figuring out her opponent. That was cool. Something I'm curious about, just, you know, as far as the battle goes, granted, I'm aware the animation is, again, only for entertainment, and they did change the rules of Death Battle somewhat recently, and maybe they have been repeatedly, and I guess that's not exactly a rule anymore. I don't know. I watched a Death Battle cast on it, but whatever, I forget. Either way, it's just entertainment. But I do wonder about the whole Carnage possession kind of thing, because I swear at one point in this, I thought he was shooting off like bullets of himself, basically, spikes of himself, and I thought I saw it cutting her. I mean, it even it shifted the animation, again, the visual style of it, and we see that she's getting cut. Is he not shooting himself? Because I thought if he just like cut her once, then he could infect and possess her, basically. So when that happened, I really thought that's what was going to happen in the animation. When I saw that he actually did get a hit in on her, even if it was a small hit, I thought that he was really going to take advantage of that. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't think anything came of that moment. Would that have come into play, or could it have? I guess, again, Death Battle is like the majority of the time who would win between the two. So even if he did win in this case, their argument here is that Lucy would win the majority of the times they were to fight each other. And that's fair. But I guess what I'm wondering is, was what I saw enough for Carnage to have been able to possess her? And is possession actually as valuable as my mind is making it out to be? Like, could he actually use that to win, you know? I don't know the lengths of it. I don't know the limitations. So throwing that out there. But I thought that that was going to play a much bigger part than it actually ended up playing in the battle. Clearly, it wasn't enough for him to win. Yeah. But I did really enjoy this one. To touch on the source material really quick, just in case anyone's curious, no, I don't think either of those are for me. You know, I think that Carnage is too dark. I think that Elfen Lied is too dark. Neither of them seem up my alley. I mean, and it's not like, I was much more content watching people be blasted in half than I was to see kids beating a dog to death. Like, that to me was the darkest thing. I mean, okay, both the dog incidents were to me the darkest things. Just the idea of, like, well, any torture, but like, kids, it's like, why? No, it's wrong. Yeah, but it doesn't seem like either of those would interest me, really. Or at the very least, I think that there are other things that I would better occupy my time with, just in case anyone was curious. And then as for the next time, I don't really have an interest. I never watched Gundam, assuming that's the name of the show. I never watched Transformers, really. You know, I've seen, like, the first movie, as in, like, Michael Bay movie, and I've watched, like, a couple episodes of the cartoon when I was really young, going over to my friend's house, because I didn't have that channel. So, you know, I'm just, like, I never watched Transformers, and when I did, I didn't super care for it. It just wasn't my thing. Obviously, it's a lot of people's things, and that's awesome, but it was never something that, like, I had an emotional attachment to, that I particularly enjoyed as a child or as an adult. So, yeah. Well, I think that covers about everything, so let me know what you thought about this death battle in the comments below, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, what you thought about this or that, etc., so on and so forth. And I will be reacting to the next one next weekend. So if you come back, you know, a week from today, you'll be able to watch it, assuming it's past noon Eastern, because that's when I'm uploading things. So, yeah. Thank you guys again for watching, and with that, we're calling it here. Cue outro, go!